Slaggert is set to make his NHL debut tonight against the Kings as the Chicago Blackhawks look to win 3 consecutive games for the first time this season. All that and plenty more right here on Locked On Blackhawks.
You're Locked On Blackhawks, your daily podcast on the Chicago Blackhawks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into another episode of Locked On Blackhawks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, I'm your host, Jack Bushman. You can go and give me a quick follow on X at JackBushman2, and make sure to go and follow my Strictly Blackhawks account as well at Talkin' Hockey, so that way you can get all of the latest Blackhawks news and updates. And just a quick reminder, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, make sure that you're subscribed to the Locked On Blackhawks YouTube channel. I'm really trying to grow this thing right now as the summer months creep towards us. A lot more fun conversations going to be had about this Blackhawks team regarding the 2024 NHL draft, some of the top prospects available in that, and also what the Blackhawks should be doing in free agency this year. So make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Go and hit that like button, comment down below if you can as well. It all is 100% free, won't cost you anything, and really does help me out tremendously. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Again, thank you all for tuning into another episode of Locked On Blackhawks, your one-stop shop for all things Chicago Blackhawks. And tonight, the Blackhawks are looking to extend their winning streak to a season-long 3 games as they're coming off back-to-back victories for only the second time this season, believe it or not. But tonight, they're going to have a much more formidable challenge ahead of them compared to the last 2 games they've had facing off against the Arizona Coyotes and the Anaheim Ducks, taking advantage of 2 of the other bottom feeders in the NHL so far this season as the Los Angeles Kings come to town. And after hitting a little bit of a skittish stretch to kick off 2024, the Kings have kind of righted the ship here over the last couple of weeks. They're winners of 5 of their last 10 games, and they've kind of settled into a playoff spot once again, currently good for 3rd in the Pacific Division standings. And make sure to stay tuned until segment 3 of today's episode, everyone, because I'm going to be getting further into some of the rest of the playoff races that are going on across the NHL right now, as we only got 1 month left here in the regular season. So make sure to stay tuned to segment 3 in order to hear more about what's going down in terms of the standings across the NHL. But yeah, this is surprisingly the first meeting between the Blackhawks and the Kings here this season, but we're going to get pretty familiar with them here over the final month of the regular season, as the Blackhawks will actually be playing them again in 5 days' time next week on Tuesday in Los Angeles to kick off their 3-game West Coast road trip. A little bit out of scheduling here right now, as I don't know if I can recall ever a time on the Blackhawks schedule where they have all the West Coast teams come to the UC for a homestand there, and then they immediately go back out west to play all of those same 3 teams on the road again. Kind of weird, but that leads to 2 matchups within 5 days against the Los Angeles Kings, and then these 2 teams will actually also meet again during the final game of the regular season. But it's going to be really interesting tonight to see if this Blackhawks offense that has scored 7 goals in 2 consecutive games for the first time since 1991, if they can keep it going, because the Kings are one of the best defensive teams in the entire NHL. They have the first-ranked penalty kill by a pretty good margin. They're at 86% for the season, and as we know, the Hawks' power play has really been clicking here to kick off the month of March. They're 10 for their last 22 in 4 games, and they've been rolling on all cylinders and finally getting some good results after it's really been a struggle for the man advantage for most of the year. So it's going to be a really big challenge for Connor Bedard in this Hawks power play. And then, as I mentioned, the Kings as a whole, one of the best defenses in the NHL. They come into this game ranking 3rd in goals against per game. So it's going to be much tougher for Connor Bedard in this Blackhawks offense. You know, with how he's been cooking recently, coming off of a 5-point game in the last outing against the Ducks, the Kings are going to be having him circled all night long. They're going to be keeping a keen eye on him. So really curious to see how Bedard is going to handle that type of pressure. And how this Blackhawks offense responds against a much tougher foe. But also happening this evening, it's Landon Slaggert's NHL debut. It is officially confirmed to be going down this evening. Slaggert is going to be having roughly 40 family members and friends in attendance at the UC tonight. Going to be a very special one for him. And I know he's going to have some extra mojo in his tank. And he's already a guy that plays with a pretty high motor, a power forward type of guy for those who aren't as familiar. He's only 6 foot, about 190 to 200 pounds. I might have misspoke on Wednesday's episode. Someone in the comment section said Slaggert is 6'4", ? So maybe I misspoke. He most certainly is not 6'4", but in college hockey, he kind of played like that mold, scored a lot of goals from right out in front of the net, able and willing to go to the dirty areas. And he's a good two-way player too. Got a good forecheck, skates pretty well. So I'm sure he's going to be bringing lots of energy here tonight. Looks like he's going to be skating on the Blackhawks fourth line along with Ryan Donato and Mackenzie Entwistle as Reese Johnson gets bumped out as he's actually in concussion protocol right now, stemming from that brawl that went down between the Ducks and the Blackhawks during the third period of was that Tuesday night's game? Yeah, Tuesday night's game. So Reese Johnson in concussion protocol as of right now. No further updates than that, but that does allow Landon Slaggert to jump right in. And I wondered, because of the Blackhawks having such a solid performance on Tuesday, I wondered if Slaggert's debut was going to get bumped back to Sunday against the San Jose Sharks, just because it was a pretty good performance from everyone in the forward group. And it looked like they were all aware of the situation, that someone was likely coming out whenever Slaggert was going to draw in. Felt like everyone put forth their best effort to ensure they weren't that guy. Just unfortunate, an injury for Reese Johnson is what leads to Slaggert jumping in. But the rest of the top 9 in terms of the forward group looks like it's going to be the same here this evening. Foligno, Bedard, Kurashev, they've been absolutely rolling. But, you know, the Kings are going to have a star by that line in their dressing room before this meeting. Blackwell, Dickinson, Anderson, been the shutdown trio for Luke Richardson all season long, have done such a good job in that role. And then Andreas Athanasiou in his second game back had a really good return with 2 assists and 3 shots on goal. He'll be skating with Tyler Johnson and Taylor Radish once again. Same 6 on defense for the Blackhawks, the only 6 that they have on their active roster at this point in time. And then what surprised me the most is that Arvid Soderblom is going to get the start in net tonight for the Blackhawks. I thought Sunday would have been a perfect opportunity for him to carry over that winning streak that he's on right now. He's won back-to-back games in the NHL for the first time in his career. I thought allowing Mrazek to go here tonight against the Kings, a better team, and then Soderblom gets to go on Sunday against the Sharks, I really thought that was going to be the plan 100%. But Richardson going with Soderblom here tonight, hey, he has been better as of late. The Blackhawks have also been giving him some run support, which is kind of needed whenever he's going to be in between the pipes. So it looks like the Blackhawks offense is probably going to have to find some success against the Kings tonight. Not a knock on Soderblom, but basically every time he's in there, he's given up at least 2 or 3. And offense hasn't been great for the Blackhawks as a whole this season, but it's been much better as of late. So tough test tonight against the Kings for both Soderblom and this Blackhawks offense. We'll see if they can keep it rolling to pick up 3 consecutive wins for the first time this season. All right, there is my preview of tonight's matchup with the Los Angeles Kings. Coming up in just a moment here, I will get into a quick little update on the Rockford IceHogs and how Lukas Reichel has been faring since he got reassigned by the Blackhawks. But first, I got to talk to you all about Ibotta. Grocery bills are so expensive these days, but right now, they don't have to be, because you can start getting cash back on your grocery shopping with the free Ibotta app and get cash back every time that you shop. Do you love making money, but also love spending money? Don't we all? Now you can make money while you spend it every time that you shop with Ibotta. Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies to toys and much more. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Join over 50 million users and go and earn cash back every time you shop from the over 27,000 brands and retailers, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. And right now, Ibotta is also offering our listeners $5 to just simply try Ibotta using the code LOCKEDONNHL when you register. Again, that's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store. Download that right now and use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get a free $5 when downloading the Ibotta app. Segment 2, the Chicago Blackhawks are taking on the Los Angeles Kings here this evening at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, the first of 3 meetings between these teams during the final month of the regular season, and you can catch all of the hometown broadcast with the SiriusXM app. All you got to do is go and download the SXM app and go and search Blackhawks. All right, segment 2. I mentioned that with the Blackhawks, not having the most meaningful final games of action here to finish off the regular season, other than where they're going to finish in the standings for the Macklin-Celebrini sweepstakes. But with that being the case, I've mentioned that I'm going to be getting into more and more updates on the Rockford IceHogs as they push towards the Calder Cup playoffs. And what a run it has actually been for the IceHogs lately. They did lose their most recent game on Wednesday night to the Texas Stars, but prior to that, they were on a 7-game winning streak to get them right back into the hunt for the third spot in the Central Division standings. And they also did beat Texas on Monday or Sunday, I want to say it was, to split that little mini 2-game series that they had. So nice to see the IceHogs really getting in form here as of late. They're starting to get healthier. They've gotten Colton Dock back. Luke Philp is on the way, getting some defensive help as well. Now that the big boys up in the NHL are getting healthier, as Isaac Phillips and Louis Crevier were both returned. And it seems like the IceHogs are starting to play some of their best hockey at the most meaningful time of the season, which is really, really crucial and really good to see. And just as a reminder is how things work for the Calder Cup playoffs, 5 of the 7 teams in the Central Division will actually qualify for the postseason, but the 4th and 5th seeds, which the IceHogs have, finished as each of the last 2 years, they will take on the 4th and the 5th seed will battle in a best of 3 mini play-in series to go and play the 3 seed in the next round. So there is a huge difference between finishing third, having home ice advantage in that next series against the winner of 4v5 versus playing in that best of 3 play-in series and having your season over in just a 3-game stint. So nice to see the IceHogs really starting to press on the heels of the Texas Stars here late in the season. They've gotten themselves in a really good spot. Taking a look at the Central Division standings right now, the Milwaukee Admirals are still running away with the division. They got 75 points on the season. First place, ahead of the Grand Rapids Griffins by a whopping 10-point margin. Grand Rapids in second with 65 points. The Texas Stars, as I mentioned, are currently in third with 61 points, but the Rockford IceHogs are nipping at their heels, just 2 points back, currently sitting at 59 points in the 4th spot. So would be massive if the IceHogs could find a way to chase down Texas here late in the season. And it's funny, feels like the IceHogs and the Texas Stars are always having these battles. They've met each of the last 2 years in the Calder Cup playoffs. Feels like they're always neck and neck in the standings, but the Stars have gotten the better of them each of the last 2 years. So it would be really nice to see the IceHogs find a way to creep above them to sit number 3 when it's all said and done here in the regular season. But yeah, like I mentioned, just a healthier IceHogs squad, which is great to see. Colton Dock is back, I mentioned. Luke Philp is still on his way. Rem Pitlick, I think a big-time veteran addition to that forward group. He's been huge. And then just kind of rounding things out with a really solid D-core. They have Wyatt Kaiser and Philip Ruse playing together as the top pairing. Ethan Del Mastro and Nolan Allen, they've been together for the majority of their first professional seasons together. But what is interesting is Ethan Del Mastro is actually the one who's been playing on his offside for the last chunk of games here. And if you remember correctly, Nolan Allen was the one who was playing that side, excuse me, a lot during training camp and during the preseason and earlier on in the regular season, simply because the Blackhawks know they have no shortage of left-handed defenseman prospects in their system. And because of that, some of them are just simply going to have to move to the right side or else they're not going to have a place in the lineup. So love to see that Nolan Allen has been able to do that thus far. He also did it in his junior career from time to time. And now Ethan Del Mastro is getting experience on that side too. I certainly don't think that can hurt. And from what I'm hearing, he's handled that pretty well. And then, as expected, Isaac Phillips and Louis Crevier, they've been roommates together for the last year. Defensive partners once again with the IceHogs to round things out. As far as how things have been going for Lukas Reichel, he was obviously reassigned back down to Rockford rather disappointingly. Just about a month ago now, probably 3 weeks ago at this point in time. He's played 9 games with the IceHogs thus far, tallied 1 goal and 6 assists for 7 points. He's proven time and time again that he is a point-per-game player at the AHL level. I don't think we should be surprised by that being the result, and I'm sure he'll get that up there even more. But I would like to see the goal scoring get up there a little bit. Reichel did score his first goal since joining the IceHogs back on Wednesday against Texas, snuck home a shot on the IceHogs power play. But yeah, I think that's the area where you want to see him just possess the puck more, have confidence in his abilities. And when he was at his peak last year with the Blackhawks, the goal scoring was through the roof, man. It had taken a jump like we hadn't seen so far in his professional career. So I really think that's what the Blackhawks are wanting to see from him down in this stint, is just possess the puck a lot more, demand it, dominate with the puck. So hopefully Lukas Reichel can get that going. Still a productive player in the AHL as always, but we want to see him improve in other areas. We know that he's capable of that already. But just based on how things have gone for him thus far and where the IceHogs are compared to where the Blackhawks are and what the situation is with the Hawks forward group, I really think Lukas Reichel is going to be down in Rockford for the rest of the season. The Blackhawks have, 15 games left on their schedule. Maybe Frank Nazar is coming as well, along with Landon Slaggert. I just don't think it's going to be happening for Lukas Reichel the rest of the way. As disappointing as that is, he's going to be playing more meaningful hockey and is going to be in a big-time role for the IceHogs throughout this run to the Calder Cup playoffs and all throughout it. Hopefully it's a long run for the IceHogs, and hopefully it's some good experience for Reichel and gives him some good momentum and confidence in his game going into a very meaningful summer for his future in the NHL and also his future for the Chicago Blackhawks. All right, there is an update on the Rockford IceHogs as they're down to 17 games left in the schedule. Coming up in just a moment, I will also get into an update on the playoff races going down in the NHL right now, as there's just only 1 month to go here in the regular season. But first, I got to talk to you all about Robinhood. Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer from the other retirement accounts that you have with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match either. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to the IRA with their 3% match. And this offer is good only through April 30th. So go and get started right now at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. The 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of the first 3% match and must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions, and Robinhood IRA is available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC is a registered broker-dealer. Back here on the Locked On Blackhawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, if you're still watching right now on YouTube, thank you so much for all of your support. I greatly appreciate it. If you like what you're watching here today, make sure to hit that like button, comment down below, and subscribe to the Locked On Blackhawks YouTube channel. Mailbag Monday is right around the corner. Make sure to go and drop those questions in the comment section right now. You can also DM me on any one of my personal accounts, any one of my social accounts, and you can also email lockedonblackhawks@gmail.com as well. And also, make sure to go and check out the new Locked On Sports Today, because Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. So make sure to go and check out Locked On Sports Today and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. All right, segment 3, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here of the NHL regular season, folks. Most teams have somewhere between 15 to 17 or 18 games left on their schedule, and I figured it would be a good time to get into some updates on all of the playoff races going down around the league. And I did this probably about a month ago now and gave out some predictions, so thought it would be fun to take a look at how those have been going and what's kind of been going down since then. So we'll be going division by division here to wrap things up on the show today, starting with the Central Division, of course. And it is still a close contested, tight-knit three-horse race at the top. Currently, the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars both have 89 points, but the Avs sit in first place with 67 games played, while the Stars have played 68. And then the Winnipeg Jets, who have only played 65 games, are just 2 points behind them. And I'd love to see general manager Kevin Cheveldayoff finally get aggressive at the deadline and make moves. Like Winnipeg making moves in this economy really doesn't happen, but they're giving it their all this season, man. And Connor Hellebuck remains one of the best kept secrets in the entire NHL. I really think he might be the most underrated player in the entire league. I predicted a month ago that the Dallas Stars would be the ones to win this division, with Colorado finishing second and Winnipeg finishing third, but it still looks like it's anyone's game there. I'm going to stick with my prediction. Stars 1, Avs 2, Winnipeg 3, but it's going to be really fun to see how this division shakes out the rest of the way. And then in the Pacific, Vancouver still cruising strong. They're 9 points ahead of the Edmonton Oilers for first place in the division. They got 92 points through 67 games. Edmonton has 83 through 64 games played. And then, as I mentioned during segment 1, the Los Angeles Kings have kind of settled things down again here. They are back in the third spot. They're actually tied with Vegas. They both have 77 points, but the Kings have the higher points percentage of the two, having only played in 65 games. And then taking a look at the wild card. Got something stuck in my throat like all episode. My prediction's not looking all that good from what I gave out a month ago. I said the St. Louis Blues and the Seattle Kraken were going to be the two teams to sneak into the playoffs here. The St. Louis Blues still have a little bit of life, but the Predators, man, I've been really impressed with Nashville. They've had a long point streak going on here as of late, and currently sitting in the first wild card spot with 80 points through 67 games. I don't think they're going to do enough to chase down the 3 spot in the Central, but looking like they're sitting pretty to qualify for the playoffs once again. Forever stuck in limbo are the Nashville Predators. Not good enough to win it all, good enough to be interesting. I guess it works for, I don't want to be disrespectful, a smaller market like Nashville. It keeps things interesting there, but man, if they really want to get somewhere, they got to tear that down eventually. Vegas tied with the Kings currently in the second wild card spot, so that's why this is an even more meaningful game for Los Angeles to take advantage of a team like the lowly Blackhawks. Even though they have some momentum, they're fighting for their playoff lives right now because they're only 4 points ahead of the Minnesota Wild, who have really clawed and fought their way back into the mix here. They got 73 points through 67 games this season. The first team out of the wild card picture, the St. Louis Blues, are 2 points back of them with 71 points. Calgary Flames still kind of in the hunt with 69 points through 66 games. And then my Seattle Kraken that I picked have a little bit of hope with 68 points through 65 games, still 9 points back. I don't see a way that they're going to be able to chase things down. I think, man, it's going to be really awesome if Minnesota could find a way to get in. I would love that for my buddy Seth Topal. I am going to go Nashville's going to find their way in. I wish they wouldn't, but they're going to get smoked in the first round as they always do. The Vegas Golden Knights are going to win that final spot in the Pacific. I really think that with what they did at the deadline, they're only getting better and healthier. I'm going to say the Los Angeles Kings are able to hang on because of their defense. Good defense always gives you a chance. So I'm going to go with what's in there right now in the West is what it's going to become playoff time. I know that's not the most fun prediction, but that's truly what I think goes down. And then going out east, the Atlantic still filled with a ton of big dogs. The Florida Panthers in the mix for the President's Trophy this year. Right now, they currently have it with 94 points through 67 games, battling it out with the Boston Bruins, who are 1 point back of them with 93 points through 68 games. That looks like it's going to be the battle for the President's Trophy potentially, along with the first place spot in the Atlantic Division. The Vancouver Canucks still there in the mix along with the New York Rangers too. I ultimately do think Boston is going to come out on top here. I think they're just going to want to get that home ice advantage, and they're a very experienced bunch, even though they lost Patrice Bergeron. Still a team that knows how to get around this time of the year. And then Toronto in the third spot. I predicted they're going to finish third. They're in a good spot to do so as of right now. They got 84 points. That's good enough for 8 ahead of the nearest chaser, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think the Leafs are going to finish third. In the Metro, the New York Rangers, 66 points, 66 games played. They got 90 points. The Carolina Hurricanes in second with 86 points. I believe I had Carolina ending up winning this division. It's turned into a little bit of a race, and the Canes also made some big-time moves at the trade deadline as well. And props to John Tortorella and the Flyers for hanging in there. It's turned into a real close race. I did say, though, that I think the Flyers are ultimately going to end up getting one of those wild card spots. And speaking of the wild card, the Tampa Bay Lightning hold the first spot right now with 76 points through 66 games. I do believe they're going to get in one of those wild card spots. And how about the New York Islanders going on a run here late in the season? They currently hold the rights to the second wild card spot out east with 72 points through 65 games. That gives them the tiebreaker over the Detroit Red Wings, who have absolutely crumbled since Patrick Kane had that awesome overtime winner at the UC and his return. It has been a nightmarish run for the Red Wings. They are heading in the wrong way. They got guys fighting with one another in practice. It has been a tough skid for them. I do not like seeing, well, I kind of like seeing it, but for the sake of Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat, I don't like seeing the direction they're heading in. I think they're ultimately toast. The Washington Capitals are still right there, only 1 point back of the Islanders with 71 points through 65 games. The Buffalo Sabres are making a charge here too with 69 points through 67 games. The New Jersey Devils, I had them sneaking into the playoffs along with the Lightning. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. They have 68 points through 66 games, and then the Pens have 67 points through 65 games. I do think Philadelphia is going to hold their spot. I do think Toronto is going to hold their spot. I think the Islanders are actually going to snag that last playoff spot in the Metro, while the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Philadelphia Flyers hang on for those final playoff spots out east. All right, that's going to wrap things up here on today's episode of Locked On Blackhawks. As always, thank you all again for tuning into the show. Be sure to go and follow Locked On Blackhawks for free right now, wherever you may be listening to your podcast, and to go and subscribe to Locked On Blackhawks on YouTube. And that way you can get the latest episode as soon as it's uploaded each and every day. As always, I'm your host, Jack Bushman. Go and give me a quick follow on X at Jack Bushman 2. Can also go and follow my Strictly Blackhawks account as well at Talkin' Hockey, and go and follow the channels page on X. It's closing in on 1,600 followers, so would appreciate some support there too. You can find that on X at capital L, capital O _ Blackhawks. All right, everyone, until the next episode, enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you next time on the Locked On Blackhawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.